What's going on, hockey fans? Another day, another all Dan K and all Lucas J draft. This one, the toughest of them all, or as we call it, the granddaddy. Wait, we can't say the granddaddy of them all. We don't have the rights to that. The grandmama of them all. Nobody's used that yet. That's what this is. It's the all premier teams, the all Dan K, the all Lucas J. We talked about the elite. If you were one of the elite players selected, you were in the top 6 percentile of the entirety of that league. In the Premier, if you are selected, you are in the top 1.8% of Premier players nationwide. We were only able to pick 1.8%. If you feel slighted, if you feel like you should have been picked by the end of this thing, fuel yourself. Whether you're heading off to college this year or you're coming back for another run in the USPHL or the NCDC, fuel yourself. Get going. Let's go. With that in mind, it is time to invite in my right-hand man, my consigliere, Monfrere from Another Mayor, and the man who picks the other team in the All Dan K and All Lucas J draft. What's going on, Lucas?
Oh, you want to talk about fueling yourself up here. Let's talk about things that'll get you going, things that'll get you in a rage mindset. If you're not one of the guys that we picked on this roster, I'll give you a little hint. You'll come up to New Jersey, up to my apartment complex, and you sit and listen to the leaf blowers that have been going for the last 6 hours. That will put you in a state of mind where you'll be unable to do anything but hit somebody. You're gonna want to get to the NHL specifically, so you might be able to drop gloves with all the rage you feel right now. I certainly have no one to drop gloves on. I do have a consistent leaf blowing outside my apartment. So if you hear a droning during the course of this episode, there is nothing I can do about it.
That is it, but what we can do is draft. Lucas got first dibs on defenseman after winning the coin toss last go around. Dan K gets first dibs on defenseman today. So we will start by picking 12 forwards. We will follow that with 6 defensemen. We will then have one extra skater, either defense or forward, that we can choose at that time. We will finally finish up with 3 netminders, 2 coaches, 2 owners, and a broadcast duo of play by play and color commentary. Lucas, you have the honors. The T. Wait, hold on. Let me do that. I've always wanted to do this. Okay. Now at the T, from Nutley, New Jersey, the mustache bash himself, Lucas Jones, at the T.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, First forward line, I want impact. I want dynamos. That's what I want. I want Alex Rene Bartakovich. I want the league's leading point getter, 121 points. I want Nicholas Milhorn, a guy from a Toledo squad that'll absolutely run you through the boards and back to the state you came from. And I want to rev up the engine. I want Rhett Evgen. And I think that
Wow.
Rhett Evgen, while not necessarily as high in the total points list as some traditional first line, top line guys are, is a dynamo, right? Such a great, heady, intense player. Love the energy, love the enthusiasm.
I think it's an interesting top three. Just knowing, looking at my list right now, who I wanted, you didn't get anybody who was my top line guys. Red Evgen was on my second line. Milhorn, Barkovich, all guys around my second and third lines here. So good picks, definite picks I like. Red Evgen, that size is just a game changer. That's a
Yep.
difference maker right there. Nicholas Milhorn, the human goal horn. This guy's ringing the goal horn every day. Bartakovich, I mean, we saw Alex Rene, the skater so nice, they named him thrice out there in Vernal. This guy's going to be moving up to the NCDC next year. It's a good start. I'm ready to start with my 3 here, though. This is the best forward line ever created, I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay?
Might
Not
be
even
biased, but
not even close. We're starting off. I'm going to get with the second picks here. I'm going to get Jake Murray, the all time point leader in USPHL Premier history with 226. Jake Murray out of the Ogden Mustangs. I'm putting him with Vesey, Light the Lampin, my guy from the Palm Beach Typhoon, aging out this season. And finally, a guy who I think might be one of the most underrated forwards on planet Earth right now, William Cohen. Will Cohen from the Utah Outliers. I go Ogden Outliers, Palm Beach on the top forward line.
if Cohen is underrated, who could possibly be overrated at that point? Cohen's a monster, 100%. I mean, this top line, I think it matches up really well with my guys. I think we're pretty evenly matched. I think Bartakovich and Murray, a battle we've already watched in person. Would love to watch those two go at it again. This would be a fun draw if we actually played this game.
I went to the mountains in Florida with my first forward line. I want to kind of get down now to some of my creativity. I want my second forward line to have a guy who can hatch back and play the 200-foot game, but put him with two guys that I'm just going to say, go have fun. Get out there, be creative, be stellar, be yourself, young men. We got another guy going to the NCDC, tendered there, the one and only Daniel Ellingson from the Minnesota Squatch. I'm going to pair him with Chad Natzel, my 200-foot game guy here from the Metro Jets, and Christopher Moraldo, another leading point getter in this USPHL Premier, a guy that took over the reins in Fresno this season, who I thought in his picture on the site was wearing a turtleneck with a blazer. Would have been a bold move, Cotton, bold strategy. But Christopher Moraldo out of Fresno, Daniel Ellingson, Chad Natzel. This is my creative line. Natzel's got to play the 200-foot game to allow these guys to be themselves and get out there and create. But I think you got a ton of creativity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Natzel, we've seen him play that 200-foot, sometimes a 250-foot game. And the good news for Moraldo here is that now he knows he could rock a turtleneck with a suit. A look that we might see a little bit later down this list here with a couple of other guys, but it's a bold look, but he could certainly pull it off. Dan, for my next two forward lines, this is kind of why I wanted to go defense first in the elite, because I really wanted these two forward lines back to back here. For my second forward line, we're going to start with Easton Moore from the Florida Eels, then Carl Fredrickson from the Northern Cyclones, and Jacob Johansson from the Potomac Patriots. I just feel like these three together have had such an impact in so many different parts of the game. Or they play well on special teams, they play well on their own, they play well in the team environment. These are some of the most all-around well-prepared players that I've watched this year.
This is why I love what we do this time of year. This is my favorite thing about the all Lucas J, all Dan K teams. Carl Fredrickson outscored his regular season output in points in the postseason alone, turned into the hero of Hudson, New Hampshire, led his team to a championship. The only person you could say who had more of an effect on that Cyclones roster this year in the postseason was Filion in net, who I gotta imagine we'll hear about later. Fredrickson's so good. Johansson, we saw him all season long in Potomac. I love what Gratz does up there. I love RJ Ziegler, man. They just announced a partnership with the Pueblo Bulls. Hey, Buds, meet Buds. It's our Buds. That's what it's all about. It's the Dan K bump right there, and it's the Pueblo Bulls and Potomac bump. You got to be looking at those two places as your next step to play. And Easton Moore, talked to Frank Scarpacci, coach of this squad with the Florida Eels Premier. He said he hasn't had to speak to an official about a call since Easton Moore joined the fray and took over that captain C with the Florida Eels. He said he puts him in charge of everything. He's a leader on and off the ice. Who you got next, Lucas?
Well, we're going to go to Pueblo for a player here. Now that you mentioned Dan, Thomas Susi. Susi. And I want to pair him with two of the most, I call them smoke grenade type players. Matthias Raquel from the New York Aviators and Noah Main from the Fort Wayne Spacemen. Man.
Wait, am I allowed to draft? So, like Shohei Ohtani in fantasy baseball, am I allowed to draft Noah Main as a defenseman since you got him as a forward?
No, I'm just allowed to play him at both positions here if I want to.
Great.
I mean, Susi's a creator. He has great vision. Head's always up. Intelligent player. And Raquel and Maine, they're lightning rods. They can skate by themselves and play the puck. They're able to cut through defensemen basically like a hot knife through butter. It is so impressive watching all three of these guys play on their respective squads. So I have them all together on my third line.
Has anybody on planet Earth ever actually heated a knife to go through butter?
I actually have.
Oh, you would, you lunatic.
I don't have a lot of time. I don't have time to wait for the butter to soften. I got places to be.
So you're telling me I got no issues if I go pop a little butter knife in the microwave right now?
I would run it under warm water from the sink as opposed to. You know what, Dave? You go ahead.
Don't do that. I want to make sure everyone's aware. Do not do that. That is not a good joke. It will set your house on fire. Do not do that. But my third forward line is what's going to set the world on fire right now. This is the all Dan K line right here, okay? This is a line of guys that I got so much respect for the way that they play the game. And I got so much respect for this first guy from the Florida Junior Blades who does rock a blazer
With the
with the
turtleneck.
turtleneck and with the chain. Charlie Chinian, man, this is a guy who every time I saw him this year, what's up, Dirty Dan? You know what? You gotta love it. You gotta love a guy who can score 5 goals, a handful at the Florida Cup. You gotta love a guy who puts it out in the ice every day for his team. Charlie Chinian, beautician. I'm gonna put him with the key. Damon Kiwasu. Damon Kiwasu of the Florida Eels. This has been my guy, Kiwi, right? Kiwi, Kiwi. That was the call when he scored against the Utah Outliers to win it in overtime. And then finally, William Tricarico of the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. Coach Paul Peckman and his side this year, they got things done. They were creative. I put Tricarico with the speed of Kiwasu, with the physicality of Chinian. Chinian and Kiwasu were like haggling, the old school like Carl Hags, because I always call Kiwi Hags, right? It's like Hags, and you put him with Chinian, who's kind of like a good Rick Nash, not a Rangers Rick Nash, and you mix him with Tricarico, who's just a smart, heady guy like a Derek Stepan out there. That's a third forward line for Dan K.
I really like that. I mean, Chinian has been known to really just grab a game and run with it when he feels like he has the opportunity. But you put him with a couple of dynamic guys and Tricarico. I mean, what a season the River Kings had! It was so much fun watching them, especially in the back half of the season. Those last 3 months, River Kings hockey is certainly alive and well. It was hard nosed. It was skilled. I really enjoyed watching it.
I can't believe these three forwards are still waiting for me right now, too, with my fourth forward line. You ready for this? Narek Alexanian, the man who said, "You like that, Dan K?" after the Vegas Thunderbirds knocked out the Fresno Monsters. A guy who was on my squad last season from the Fresno Monsters, back on my squad again. I got him on the top line last year. I put him on the fourth line this year. This team's got depth, I'll tell you that much. Then I'll put him with George Goodwin and the Idaho Falls Spud Kings. My first potato zaddy on this squad. The Spud Kings are really real. That's what it's all about. The boys from Idaho Falls, 4,000 in the seats every night. George Goodwin putting on a show out there. I just like the way this guy plays. I like watching him play each night. I watch a lot of Spud Kings hockey from home. Watched a couple games in person. Never quit attitude in George Goodwin. And then I'm going to put Justin Ryan from the Wilkes Wagon. I like Ryan. I like the way he plays. Again, this is kind of this fourth forward line for me. Goodwin and Ryan are going to be kind of the lunch pail to work on this, right? They're going to show up. They're going to work hard for this fourth line. They're going to hit you through the glass, through the boards. They're going to make you pay for being out there with this fourth forward line. And Alexanian's job is to score the puck while they're doing that, right? Take the minds and eyes off at Alexanian. Let him go score. I really like this fourth line.
Yeah, a little misdirection, right? Little physicality, little misdirection. I like the way that you put that together. Alex Anion's a top talent. I love Goodwin. That Spud Kings team again, another team down the stretch that just put it together. So much fun to watch. And Justin Ryan too. What a fundamentally sound player, right? A lot of skill there, but just someone who pays attention to the little things. I love seeing that out of Ryan. Kind of got a similar vibe. You know, Dan, it's almost like we have been watching a lot of hockey together. For a good chunk of our lives at this point because we've got a similar vibe here coming up on the fourth line. As a man who's watched a lot of Mad Hatters hockey, Ben Baker was going to make this list.
Ben Baker, the goal maker.
Ben Baker, the goal maker. Atlanta plays such a good. I love the brand of hockey they play. I love getting to watch it as much as I do. I'm going to pair him with two guys who are big, who got size, got a little physicality in there. At the risk of getting chirped by a couple of social media accounts loosely affiliated with some folks, we're going to go with Ronan Keenan from the Nashville Spartans, who is just a lightning rod both on the ice and off the ice when it comes to the way that social media comes out. And Emmanuel Nkambu from the Provo Predators. And I know you were too, Dan. You and I were so impressed. We watched him for about 3.5 days. And in those 3.5 days, he left such an impression on you and I with the way that he plays the game, being where he needs to be before he needs to be there, playing physically, planting himself in front of the net, handling the puck well. Just someone who is a rock, right? But is a rock with silky mitts. It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and Kambu's 6'10", right? Like this is a guy who he's a difference maker anywhere you put him. Any way, shape, or form you want to play him in the game, he's going to change the game, right? If you want him to battle in the neutral zone and dish out some big hits as guys are coming over the boards and leaving the ice, sure. You want to plant him in front of the net in the power play, he'll score the puck on the rebound for you there. He's an absolutely great ad here at a Provo. Then you talk about Ben Baker. We all know how good he is from the Mad Hatters. And you want to add in Ronan Keenan. I mean, come on. This is a
How
guy,
can you not?
I mean, electric on social media, a lightning rod at times, right? Guys kind of battling back and forth with him. He goes to Nashville, and he's heading back there again for one last season. He's got a chance to go 2 for 2 here with getting an all Lucas J, all Dan K here call. That's a big day for Ronan Keenan. Let's move on to the defenseman. I get to pick first here. And this is huge for me. This is big because I'm going to tell you right now you made a big mistake picking defense first in the elite because
Yeah, get it over with.
Metro Jets, my favorite defenseman on the planet, Dakota Cott. And I'm putting Dakota Cott next to Sam Tetro from the Fort Wayne Spacemen, who still might be skating at the national championships right now. He was skating 47 minutes a night throughout that tournament. He had, in that Richmond loss, the game they got knocked out of, about 17 block shots, 2 broken sticks. He lost a blade at one point and still, without a skate blade, blocked 3 shots. And then got up, lost his stick on the next power play shift on the penalty kill, and cleared the zone twice with a Pele style soccer kick. I got Dakota Cott, I got Sam Tetro.
I would use my steal on one of these guys, but I know you'll just use yours to steal them right back. So I won't even try. That is probably the defense. That is the most Dan K show defensive line. I know you love the way they play. I love the way they play. Dakota Cott is one of the all-time greats. Absolutely high class individual, incredibly intelligent, great defenseman. And Tetro, just a workhorse, just a pure defenseman. I love the energy. I've got 2 lines coming up here back to back again. Don't mind it here. I'm going to stick with Metro. I'm going with Josh German, who's just another one of those Metro defensemen who is just so fundamentally strong, absolutely gets in the way of it. Love the enthusiasm for the game. And I'll go back to Atlanta as well. Go Owen Larson because I've got a defensive pairing here who's just so physically impressive, so smart, right? So heady and just I think for Lucas Jones defense is about just putting in the work, right? Where if you might not be flashy, it might not be always on the highlight reel, but no one's ever going to get behind you.
Yeah, and you look at these two, you can't go wrong. If you're going to go Dakota Cott, Josh German, left hand, right hand. We talked about that during the elite defensive pairs, right? Then you got Owen Larson. Atlanta, what a year they had this year. Sneaky good year at a
Yep.
Paul Flash and his side with the Mad Hatters. Got upset going to the national championship bid, but a great season for Atlanta. And you talk about Dakota Cott and Josh German. These guys are great, man. What a crew. Give me 2 more defensemen.
I've got Peter Keese from the Charlotte Rush coming over from the Minnesota Blue Hawks to the Charlotte Rush, 2 great organizations for development. You can see it in Peter, the way that he's continuously developed, the way that he has kind of reached the pinnacle of where he's been at. I'm going to pair him with Magnus Einerson from the Utah Outliers. As impressive as Peter Keese has been in his development and his skill, I loved watching Einerson this year. I mean, just a physically imposing presence, lockdown defenseman, and just a skating forward kind of guy. Where Peter Keese has a little flexibility, he's got incredible hands, right? Gets involved in the offense. I feel like Einerson is your big, tough, smart defenseman.
Yeah, Einerson, what a pick to get him as the 6th defenseman off the board is unreal. I think that might be your best pick of this draft in terms of space of the pick happening. That's a great grab. And you talk about Peter Keese. What's not to love about Peter Keese? This guy started with Jay Whitten, those Blue Hawks, moved down to the Charlotte Rush. Just an all-around great kid, great family, good hard worker. He's going to have another successful season of junior hockey next year. Let's go to my D pair. I'm going to go quick. I'm going to go to the jacuzzi. Heating things up. Jacob Jacuz from the Hudson Havoc, who had potentially the best defense other than Metro in all of junior hockey this year. I'm going to pair him with Aiden Kennedy from the Motor City Gamblers. You're not gambling when you put Kennedy on the blue line. So my first D pair, is I've got a top forward line of Murray, Lamp, and Cohen, and I need two guys to skate a long time with those boys and keep the puck away from the net on 2-on-1s. We need two guys that are going to play some D. This is my D pair that goes with everybody else. Get out there, score the puck, be a part of the game. A couple shorthanded goals from Jacuz, I'm sure will show up. These two stellar.
Oh, I mean, it's just a really it was a good year for defense and goal and net minding in the Premier. I think this was a year where defensemen really stood out, made a name for themselves, some on the point sheet, some off the point sheet. But I think these are two incredible pickups for you.
My next two defensemen, this is interesting here. I go to Potomac, to a man who had just but one goal all season at the blue line, and it happened with me on the bench during an interview, and he turned and went, I scored one! Fired up. Joshua Kingsbury, the Kingmaker, at the blue line, and I'm making a future pick. I always like to do one future pick each premier draft. I'm going to Columbia to the infantry. The first ever Columbia Infantry elite player was Brendan Marcoux from the blue line for them on yesterday's draft. Today I'm going to their first premier player ever taken, Ryan Coots. Coots is a hard worker, good kid, and I know Coach Smules loves this guy, knows that he's got a big future, loves him enough where he called me and said, you need a futures pick at the blue line. Coots is that guy. And I told him, Coach, I was already there. We're already on the same page.
You're like, I'm already there, coach. This is where we're at. I mean, again, I love not just the futures pick right there, but I love the that pairing, right? It's two guys that have a lot of enthusiasm, very genuine when it comes to playing the game. They work hard, they hustle. There's never an issue there. And I've got not only Dan, do I have a futures pick as well, but I'm actually pulling up the scouting report that was sent to me on my futures pick.
Okay.
So texted Coach Jay Punske because I had to get the inside scoop on Jamie Air from the Islanders Hockey Club. James Air, as he's listed, but Jamie, as he's sometimes called. We'll go ahead. He's a great candidate. National team experience from France. Offensive focused guy. Loves to play the team game. His goal differential and penalty minutes will tell you the story. And he's a guy who the Islanders Hockey Club gave a lot of chances to. And when he got those chances, he succeeded. 21 points on the season. But again, defenseman. It's all in the differential. It's all in the PIMS. 12 PIMS on the season. 31 games played. Love to see that out of James/Jamie. And then I'm going to pair him with a points guy, Ryan Stanley from Toledo, right? A defenseman who is very offensive focused as well. Has put a ton of points up on the board, getting over that 50 points mark. I think those two are great together. And the great thing about Air, Dan, is he's an 04, so he's got a lot of time left.
Yeah, and it's just a great D pair right there. You talk about a futures pick. You talk about the great Jay Punske. Like, can't go wrong with either of those. These blue lines are going to be tough. Lucas, I'll give you first dibs on the extra skater scoop up right now. You get an extra skater, defense forward. Where are you going with it?
Well, I'm a firm believer that the extra skater needs to be a dynamo, needs to be a one-man wrecking crew. And no one jumps into my mind faster than Hunter Scanlon from the Aviators. That is someone who is when you throw him out there, he can play with any line, he can play any place in the ice, any situation, and he's gonna make you pay if you leave him unmarked.
That's a great pickup. On my side, I'm going to go to the most underspoken about player in Dan K Show history. The fact that we didn't mention this guy more often this season frustrates me to no end. Nathan Gurau from the Elmira Junior Enforcers. Sky is the limit for this guy, and I'm just excited to let him pair up on any forward line he wants. This is a guy on the power play I might let skate as my fourth forward from time to time to put one home. Those are our forwards, our defense, and our extra skaters. Now let's go between the pipes to the netminders. Lucas Jones, you have the first goaltender pick.
Well, it feels like first goaltender pick here is cheating because you got to go with a guy who not only has now a national championship under his belt, but also has a certain je ne sais quoi or I don't know what about him. It's Jeffrey Fillion from the Northern Cyclones. I mean, just go back and watch the championship game. If you have any question about the kind of netminder he is, just go back and watch that game. That'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, you ain't filling the nets when Philly yawns between the pipes. And not only did he stop 47 of 48 to win that title against a rush team that outshot the Cyclones nearly by double, he also had the game-winning assist. So if that wasn't enough,
Yep.
that's stupid. Like, come on, Jeffrey. Like, say incroyable out of the young man. And I leave some that leaves a lot of names on the board. We talk about the USPHL Premier.
Couple.
It's a goaltender central. There is no league. I guarantee you, there is no league on the planet with better net minding than the USPHL. When you talk elite, Premier, NCDC, all of these levels, the comparable level, nothing has the net minding that you see in these leagues. I'm going to make both of these picks at once because I don't know who's one and two. Taylor White, MJDP, and Frank Murphy from Toledo. First, you start with Taylor White, okay? And Taylor White is a guy who's going to probably slot up to the Metro side this next year in his age out season. Fills the same shoes that Freddie Soderberg filled last season. Dominant performances, takes the Eels all the way to a shootout, only allows one goal passed in the shootout. That's how he gets an L in the national tournament. Single-handedly gets a Metro Jets development program team that didn't score a goal in the seeding round out of the seeding round and into the tournament just because he was able to get them to a shootout. If he doesn't get them to a shootout in that Eels game against maybe one of the best, if not the best teams in the country at the time in our minds, we don't know where we stand right now. MJDP doesn't make it. The Vernal Oilers are the 16 seed, and everything looks different in that tournament. What a job by him. Frank Murphy, the most confident netminder on planet Earth. I still will always remember, Frank, who's in net tonight? Who do you think, baby? Frank Murphy, you can't go wrong.
No, I mean you love the confidence from both of them, right? White's ability to just feels like have the world up against him, right? And still look calm, cool, collected in that. And Frank Murphy just having that little extra, right? That little extra confidence, that little extra swagger. It plays so well for net minding. It really does to have that mental edge. I've got two guys that I believe have that mental edge, two guys that we're both very familiar with, Freddie Soderberg and Antonio Tarantino. The fact that I get both of these goalies on Team Lucas is absolutely absurd. Freddie Soderberg, so fast. He's quick in the crease, smart with the puck, has the development, has the experience. And Antonio Tarantino is just consistently making saves that should be physically impossible. Um, Again, you want to talk about an in-person performance, seeing Vernal head into Ogden, short benched because of illness. Tarantino put that team on his back and nearly won them the game single-handedly with some great offensive push from the forwards and a massive amount of dedication and iron grit from the defensemen on that side. But those two on the same net, Dan, good luck putting anything by me.
Yeah, Freddie Soderberg. We know how much Dan K loves Freddie Soderberg. He was on my team last season. He was an All Dan K member last season. This year, he's an All Lucas J member, trading sides. And then you talked about Tarantino. You can't miss with Antonio Tarantino. You did leave me a lot of options here. And when you look at the USPHL Premier Net Minding, there's no way that we can do justice to just how many guys deserve to be on this team, Lucas. You look alone at Rocco Stoles, who's a teammate of Freddie Soderberg, Tate Carman, Lucas Brine, Dominic Bovan, Jackson Lette, Ian Badgett, Luke Remini from Wilkes-Barre, the 934, Michael Marino, Jaden Lee, Ben Zaranek from Springfield. You talk about Ethan Blackburn, who we love from San Diego, Lenny Perno, the goaltending inferno, Mason Meyer, Duncan Rollman. Only guy I didn't name in that top 20 who I think makes my squad solely based on postseason performance. He showed up when the lights were the brightest and carried a Charlotte Rush team nearly to a cup. I'm going to go with Nicholas Anderson in net. Nick Anderson skated with the USHL a bit this year out there in Sioux Falls with the Stampede, comes back, nearly raises a cup. There was just so many guys to pick from. It kind of came down to I took the guy who went the furthest in the postseason, which is hard to do. And like, I feel like if we could make a list of 30 goaltenders here, and I could tell you that all of them deserve to be on it. But this is where I fall. I go Nick Anderson, the guy who was in the title game with that last spot.
That's an incredible pickup. And I really, I've said it a couple of times, especially during the national tournament. But the USPHL has really made a name for itself in terms of being a premier league for net minding development. Elite premier NCDC level, just consistently seeing some of the best net minding on the planet. Yaniv Peretz, Yanni, just won a national championship, right?
Yep.
And he's joined by Chase Clark, right? Drafted by the Capitals, coming out of the Jersey Hitmen, winning a Deneen Cup. So you have a path here as a netminder, and there's so many opportunities. Again, the great thing about having so many teams, it's a lot of opportunities for you to get the ice time you need to continue developing. I don't know if there's any league out there that develops as well as the USPHL does when it comes to goaltending, but I certainly think you could have. I feel like you could just like boggle, like just shake everything up, and you could have come up with six completely different netminders that would have been equally as talented.
Hold on, just have to cross off Boggle reference from my weird Lucas Jones things said on the show today.
Ooh, how many are you up to?
That's it. Boggle reference was the weird one. You got some crazy stuff, but Boggle, I did not expect Boggle. Mind-boggling move right there.
It's because I couldn't remember the name of Yahtzee, and then I remembered it was just Yahtzee.
What was the game where you had to put in all the shaped pieces before it went pop?
Oh,
What was that game called? Poperation?
the lawsuit edition? I don't know.
Like the opposite of Operation.
I'll tell you what, since this is debuting live and you're all watching it right now, the earliest time-stamped tweet that correctly tells us the name of that game will get a retweet. That's
Let
all
us know the game where you would put all the pieces in and it would go pop. And I remember being a kid and like
terrifying.
My anxiety issues started then. I think it was that moment in time. That and the game with the polar bear on the ice break the ice.
Oh yeah, no.
That was tough. Lucas, you got two coaches to pick right now. We'll do two coaches, two owners, two broadcasters. We'll start. You get first dibs on your coaching staff, head coach and assistant.
Well, if I'm going to pick two coaches at once, again, I am going to uncomplicate things. And I'm going to take two coaches who we saw on Tuesday at a national championship. Troy Schwab and Billy Dubs, Bill Wyan, right? They were in the national championship for a reason. They're X's and O's guys. They lay out full on for their squads every single day of the week. They understand the game, the ins and outs. I'm stealing both of them.
I mean, you can't go wrong. That's your championship matchup, right? That's great picks. That's Bill Dubs' second time being an All Dan Care, All Lucas J member. He was also a GM when we used to do our GM picks. You leave me two guys that had really great seasons. Maybe they didn't win a championship, but they did a lot for their organizations. They each won their divisions. I'm going to go, I said all year that it was Miller time. I'm going Kenny Miller of the Toledo Cherokee. Alongside him, Mr. 131 when needed himself.
Love the 131.
Show us your socks, Kaylee. Let's see them, Schrock socks. I'm going Kaylee Schrock, Fort Wayne, Kenny Miller, Toledo Cherokee, and this bench is going to be a buzz.
It is. I mean, Kenny Miller is one of a kind. Absolutely love the way that he not just works with players, but works with the rest of his coaching staff. And Kaylee Schrock, I've never had a coach with a little bit of smirk whisper, how about that 131, eh? That is between that and you just accosting him during an interview, demanding to see what socks he was wearing.
The socks.
He's got a good sense of humor, right? He trusts the players. Great coaching mind. Those are good picks.
Let's go to the owners, and I guarantee you I'm going to win this battle. These are two of my favorite guys on planet Earth. They support the game in every way you want an owner to support the game. With the mind, with the money, with the investment of time and energy, with the care, with the oversight, with the hands off when needed, with trusting an employee base, with empowering the group that works for them to do great things and achieve great things. Jerry Wilhite from the Pueblo Bulls and Peter Kamek from the Metro Jets. Those are my all Dan K 2022-2023 owners.
Love it, right? Those are you said it best, right? They're two owners that care a lot. They trust the people they bring in to do the job correctly, right? They're owners that while they love the game, they love being around the game, they bring in people to do the work for them, right? And that is takes a lot of trust. It takes the right personality and a lot of trust, and those two certainly have it. My owners, I'm also very excited for because I think that they're they're guys who have not burst onto the scene this year necessarily, but guys who have certainly made an impact this year specifically. First off, Jason McCrimmon, who has a huge history of supporting hockey in various parts of Michigan and around Detroit, and rebranding for the Motor City Gamblers this year, bringing on Sam Shaheen, who we love and who's a great defensive mind as well, and taking the Gamblers to a place where I had them picked to go to nationals, right?
Yeah.
I had that team picked to go to
Hey,
nationals.
me too.
Yeah, between the community support, building hockey, in those urban areas, funding a lot of those programs. Love what Jason McCrimmon's been doing, and joining him is David Amonte, the owner of the Vernal Oilers. Right, we worked a lot with Vernal this year, both setting them up with a lot of their broadcasts and some preseason stuff, and as well as getting to work with Coach Janello and that squad. And again, I like owners that trust their guys, and Amonte surrounds himself with the right people. And the staff at Vernal has nothing but nice things to say about him. I had a great time working with him this offseason, so I'm going to go with those two.
I love it. And David, he was there with Coach Janello, right? To put a young guy behind the bench in the interim position, now trust him and give him the full time gig out there in
Yep.
Vernal. Beautiful to see it, man. You love to see it. Talk about giving employees the tools to work. Jason McCrimmon. This is a guy who's up for the Willie O'Ree right now. You better get out and vote, okay? We've been sharing it on our social media pages everywhere. Get out and vote. This guy, what he does for the community is unmatched, unrivaled anywhere in this game. For two guys that run this show and talk about the importance of the growth of hockey, and the growth of hockey not just being more ice, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, and just Jason McCrimmon has provided all of that to his community and to the hockey community as a whole nationwide. Jason McCrimmon, an absolute hero in this game. We love watching what he does. Lucas, I'll let you get first dibs on your broadcast team here.
Well, I am going to go with two guys that we got a chance to work with again this year, which I always love. We got a chance to visit Dan Bradley out in Cincinnati to see his digs. He led us onto that broadcast. We got to stand next to him as he sang the national anthem in the arena and on the broadcast.
Crazy.
That is such a cool experience. I love that. Love working with him. Such a gracious broadcast host. And I want to mention someone that didn't necessarily have a broadcast a full-time broadcast position with a team this year. Did a lot of PA work, but broadcasted with us and specifically myself at Nationals, Zeke Fravor. And this is kind of with Dan. He is an accomplished play-by-play person. He continues to work in various aspects of the game as a podcaster. Zeke is doing it all as well. He did interviews for us. He did post-game interviews. He would hop near the desk. He would give us research. He jumped on. Getting a call a game with him was so much fun. I owe him $20 because I stepped on him twice. That's $10 per step on. That's on me. But I love getting to work with both of them, and I can't talk about them highly enough.
That's great. I referenced Derek Stepan earlier in this podcast. Do I have a step on $10 that I always tell?
Yeah. Anytime there's a step on or you step on, it's $10 in the jar.
Copy that. I can do that. But Dan Bradley, that's his second All Dan K, All Lucas J team appearance as a broadcaster. I'm going to start with this. I'm retiring Matt Prier for a year. Okay, yeah. Matt Prier's won 2 or 3 consecutive years, something crazy. I'm going to call my position the Matt Prier Award. And in kind of keeping with Matt Prier and how much I love his connection to the audio industry and racing and all this stuff, I want to pick his guy. This is a guy who he's talked to me about a lot, who I've gotten a chance to listen to a lot, and who stepped in for the River Kings towards the end of the season on top of his already homework in Dells, Matty Panier. I'm going with Matt. He came out to Detroit. You got a chance to listen to him call some games there. This guy is next level, loves the game, believes in what he does, true professional. I love Matty Panier. He's my all Dan K play-by-play guy, and I got to put a color commentator next to him. How about we go to Pueblo? How about we get a person here who we got a chance to listen to on a call while we're out there just watching the game. That's our favorite thing about these trips to Pueblo. We call a game one night, we get to listen to the game the next night. Michelle Wells. Michelle Wells is incredible at what she does. A true broadcast professional. Somebody who's worked with the Eagles up there at the pro level. Somebody who's got a future in this broadcasting industry that goes beyond just behind the desk or just on the mic at play-by-play. I think she's going to be doing a little bit of everything, kind of like a Zeke Fraver, right? A big future in this sport. I think what the sky's the limit with what I've seen so far. I'm going Michelle Wells as my final pick here as the color commentator for my broadcast crew and all Dan K team.
Love it. I mean, Pannier is absolute consummate professional, right? He's got the voice, he does the research, he hits all the right notes, and he does it, and you know it's him, right? When you hear a Pannier call, you know it's his call. And for Michelle, it was great getting a chance to meet her and get a chance to listen to it in person. And it's I think between these two, you're not gonna you'd be hard pressed to find a more professionally called game than by putting these two together on one call. The amount of research, the amount of work, the care, the passion, going along with Dan Bradley and Zeke Fraver, right? That is what these broadcaster awards are supposed to highlight. The people who care, the people who have the passion, that want to get better, that want to stay at the top of their game, and they want to deliver a professional product, right? Wherever that product might be.
And remember the future of this game. We want to play this thing one day. If you're a sponsor out there and you love it and you see this and you want to help donate to this and make this a reality, where in the future these players get a chance to play this game out on ice, please reach out to us, dankshow.com. We want to make this thing a reality. This year we got a chance to make scholarships a reality because of the helpful people around this country and around the world, to be honest with you, who support us and support the Dan K Show and what we do in our mission of hashtag Players First and helping players find their journey to the next level, whatever that next level of life or the game of hockey may be for them. And if we play that game, Lucas, the way I see it, two competing hockey TV broadcasts. One with your broadcasters, one with the other broadcasters, and they compete against one another, and we have a vote on who had the better broadcast at the end of it. So not only does a team win, a broadcast team wins.
Here's what I think as well. I think that our broadcast teams are obviously running the broadcast. You and I are the rinkside reporters, but we do not coordinate who's going to what bench at what time. Ooh. So we might have dueling interviews of, say, Coach Billy Dubs, where we might be alternating questions to him, but we will not be allowed to tell him. It would be the most confusing moment of time in Coach Dubs' entire coaching history, but I think it would be a lot of fun.
I love it. We hope you all love watching the Dan K Show. We've got one more All Dan K, All Lucas J team in the name next week. The National Collegiate Development Conference will get its day to shine in the sun. When Dan K's on the mic, it is always hockey night. Lucas, tell them about the Desert Cup before we sign off.
The Desert Cup is now in its 9th year of existence. It is a high-performance hockey tournament that combines great hockey and great opportunity to be seen by scouts and coaches with a little vacation time for the parents and guardians out there in Vegas. Dan and I love being out in Vegas for the Vegas Showcase. You will love it too. It is the best of both worlds. You can go to www.dankshow.com/the-desert-cup. Remember, desert 1S, dessert 2S's. We do not yet offer the dessert cup, although Dan has been bothering me nonstop for it.
I've got a tiki mug that we could put the dessert cup in. And Tiki Cup series.
We're really going to have to start selling those tiki mugs. Otherwise, you're just going to keep running through them.
I got too many of them. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night. Bye, everybody.